And welcome to Hannity. And tonight, the abusively biased mainstream alt-left media, as I call them, and Hollywood liberals, they're all losing their collective minds over the fact that Donald Trump will be our next president. Now, Vice President-elect Governor Mike Pence will be here in just a minute with reaction. But first tonight, ever since election night, the press has been looking for excuses and explanations as to how they got the outcome so wrong, why their anointed candidate, Hillary Clinton, lost. Now, the latest pathetic attempt from the blatantly biased media is to blame President-elect Trump's victory on fake news stories. Really? Watch this.
In 2012, the fake news thing wasn't as big a factor, but, the reality that Facebook could actually throw an election has been well known for years.
Now growing concern these fake stories may have had real influence on voters.
Fake news infects the left and the right. I've seen Clinton supporters sharing fake links this week with election-related conspiracy theories. But the evidence indicates that this is more of a problem on the right, among some, not all, but some Trump supporters.
This is the same media that was caught colluding with Hillary Clinton's campaign. So what we're seeing here is the mainstream media is either so completely out of touch that they can't see why you, the American people, voted for Donald Trump, or they simply just refuse to tell the truth about what happened. Donald Trump, he took to Twitter to defend Vice President-elect Mike Pence. He demanded an apology. Of course, the media, they only focused on Trump's response and ignored the incredibly rude and disrespectful attacks on Governor Mike Pence. And that's not all. At the American Music Awards last night, the band Green Day, in what looked like a desperate attempt to try and become relevant again, they used the performance to lash out at Donald Trump also. Watch this. And at the same award show, one of the event's co-hosts, model Gigi Hadid, well, she mocked the future First Lady, even went after Melania Trump.
This is my Melania Trump impression. Okay, I gotta get the face right. I love my husband, President Barack Obama.
Now, these nasty attacks from the alt-radical left are unfortunately just the beginning. Let's face it, there's going to be a continuous onslaught of vile, divisive rhetoric coming from the left. So with that in mind, here's my advice, unsolicited, for Donald Trump and Governor Mike Pence tonight. Ignore it. Keep focusing on the promises you made to what I call the forgotten men and women in this election. That means repeal and replace Obamacare, lower taxes, repatriate corporate profits, especially in inner cities, build a border wall as promised, appoint originalist justices to the Supreme Court, fix the inner cities, education, energy independence, drain the swamp, identify our enemies for who they really are, say radical Islam, vet those refugees from countries with values and cultures that contradict our constitutional values, negotiate free and fair trade. Now remember the forgotten man. They're the ones who voted. Here with reaction is Vice President-elect Governor Mike Pence. Governor, I thought you had a really great line. It was a very classy line when you said, that is what freedom sounds like. I love that. I thought it was a very classy response from you.
Thank you. Well, it's what I said to my daughter when we walked in. And we wanted to go see Hamilton. It's an extraordinary production. And frankly, we really enjoyed being there, but walking in, we heard a number of people booing, then some people were cheering, and then there was more boos, more cheers. So I nudged my daughter when we got to our seats, and I said, remember, Charlotte, that's what freedom sounds like. And
that's a great line.
What I can tell you is that I'll leave to others whether it was appropriate for one of the actors to address me from the stage at the end. But what I want to assure everyone looking on is that as Donald Trump said the night he was elected as our next president, he is working every day to be president of all of the people of the United States of America. And to see him in this transition, to see the range of people of diverse backgrounds that he's bringing around him, to see the policy implementation, the video that was released today about day one executive orders that he's going to sign to implement that America First agenda, I can just tell you it's been truly inspiring to be sitting shoulder to shoulder with our president-elect, and I'm absolutely convinced that come January 20th, he's going to make America great again.
Governor, what do you make of some of the reactions? Look at college campuses. I mean, and even the protesting. You've been to Trump Tower in New York City. You know, cry rooms for college students being given cocoa, hot cocoa by their professors, and coloring books and Play-Doh and aromatherapy rooms. I mean, a part of me wants to laugh, but it's so pathetic to me. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I hadn't heard a lot of those things going on, Sean. But what
I'm glad you're busy.
Yeah, we're working real hard on assembling a government around this great president-elect. But I would just tell you, look, I've been on the losing side of elections. I lost a couple of my own elections many years ago, and it's pretty tough. It's pretty disappointing. But to people who are feeling genuinely anxious about the future, I would just tell you, I wish they could be a fly on the wall in the room. Like we were up in New Jersey all weekend long as one impressive American after another came in, and to see the way our president-elect is asking the tough questions. He's driving forward. He's assembling a team around him. We've got a 100-day agenda to do exactly what you said in your monologue. The president-elect and I have already met with members of Congress, leaders in the Congress. He's already said, I want to repeal Obamacare right out of the gate, and I want us to go straight to work on replacing it with free market reforms. We're going to end illegal immigration, move legislation to accomplish that. We're going to reform taxes to jumpstart this economy. You're going to see this president-elect nominate strict constructionists to the Supreme Court, and we're going to carry those judicial nominations forward in the days ahead for all the levels of our court. One thing after another, repealing unconstitutional executive orders. It's going to be a very exciting time, and we're going to see a stronger America at home and abroad beginning on January 20th. I just know it with all my heart.
That was the agenda that got me to support Donald Trump and you in the campaign. That to me is the key, because I think if you do those things, those Americans in Wisconsin, I watch these people in Hollywood. I don't think they understand people in Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, the 95 million Americans out of the labor force that I talked about all last year. Right. Of that ambitious agenda, the only thing I heard that I'm a little bit hesitant about is $1 trillion on infrastructure. And I know Washington doesn't manage money well. Where are you going to get the $1 trillion? We already have $20 trillion in debt. That worries me a little bit. How do you pay for that?
Well, first off, just remember, all through the campaign, our president-elect talked about the crumbling infrastructure and the comparison between many American airports and airports around the world, and the fact that we need to marshal the resources and the national will to build an infrastructure to support a growing economy. But there's a lot of ways to get to that $1 trillion. And I can tell you from our experience in the state of Indiana, utilizing public and private partnerships, utilizing bonding authority and enlisting private capital, there's ways that you can do this that are going to be fiscally responsible, but also give us the resources that we need to rebuild America. But it's all part of an overall agenda that's about reviving our economy, rebuilding our military, reaffirming our commitment to the Constitution and the rule of law, ending illegal immigration.
He can do so much in 3 hours. The first 3 hours, he can undo more than 75% probably of Obama's agenda.
Well, that's right. Just a couple hours ago, your viewers know this, but a couple hours ago, the president-elect just released a video outlining a series of executive orders that'll begin to implement that Make America Great Again agenda, that America First agenda, literally on day one. And whether it's ethics reform or trade reform or economic reform, regulatory reform, people can check out that video tonight and see that what I'm seeing every day is America has elected in President-elect Donald Trump a CEO who has rolled his sleeves up, and he's driving this transition, driving the planning, laying out a 100-day agenda, a 200-day agenda that's going to make America great again.
Listen, it's going to be a dramatic shift. I think the key to the economy, my own opinion, is the 15% corporate rate, the repatriation of trillions, eliminating Obamacare, and energy independence. We can't be dependent, which is the lifeblood of our economy, on countries that hate us. Let me ask you this. He met with Governor Mitt Romney, guy that called him a huckster, a fraud, a racist, all sorts of names during the campaign.
Right.
And all these reports that he would consider him for Secretary of State, that kind of shocks me, especially when you have somebody like Rudy Giuliani who's on standby.
Well, there's a number of people that he's considering for that role and for other very significant roles. And I think what the American people saw this weekend and really since the election day is a president-elect who is drawing Americans from diverse backgrounds around him. I will tell you that he and Governor Romney had a very cordial and a very substantive discussion.
Were you in the discussion?
And talked about foreign policy. You know, I was there for most of it. They did have some private time together.
Did they address the elephant in the room, which was how harsh Romney was to him in this election cycle?
Well, you know, honestly, I think these are two people, both of whom have run for president nationally. The president-elect obviously won the election. Governor Romney came up short in his effort, but you know, I think they're two people that have both said some tough things along the way. But what I saw in that room was in President-elect Donald Trump and in the graciousness that Governor Romney brought was two men that are completely focused on the country, completely focused on what's in the best interest of the United States and America standing tall in the world and reviving our economy at home. And I was frankly very impressed with that discussion.
You see the attacks against Steve Bannon that have been debunked. They've attacked Senator Sessions. I know there's attacks against Rudy Giuliani because he did business with foreign countries. That was what his business was. Chuck Schumer talking about Supreme Court and all the things you'd expect. Would you want Mitch McConnell to use the nuclear option as Harry Reid did?
Well, I think you know, I would leave that to the leadership in the Senate. You know, I've met with the leadership of the House and Senate privately.
Senate, right?
That's right. And,
you will be.
But I would leave that to the members of the Senate to determine what's appropriate. But I honestly believe that going forward, whether it's a Supreme Court appointment or more than one Supreme Court appointment, whether it's ending illegal immigration, whether it's repealing and replacing Obamacare or reducing taxes, rolling back regulations, I think the American people are about to see what it's like to have a president in the Oval Office who's going to take his case to the American people every day and marshal the support that saw him win that historic election. I mean, to see the way the president-elect won places like Michigan and Wisconsin and Pennsylvania and Florida so decisively. I mean, he truly has a mandate to lead this nation, and I think from day one you're going to see him take that case to the American people, and we're going to work directly with the Congress and drive forward an agenda that's going to revive our nation and strengthen America at home and abroad.
Governor, you were a big help in that. My hope is really simple. I want Americans to get their jobs back. I want America to prosper. I want our homeland protected, and I want America leading abroad. And not an easy task ahead of you. We wish you Godspeed. Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you, Sean. Thanks so much for the opportunity to be on tonight. The American people can be confident come January 20th. They are going to have a president who fights every day for those forgotten men and women, for all of the American people, and he's going to put America first.
I called it the forgotten man election. People weren't paying attention to it. Governor, good to see you. Vice President-elect Pence, thank you. And welcome back to Hannity. So President-elect Trump, he had a full schedule today, including a sit-down with former Texas Governor Rick Perry, among others. Now, earlier today, Trump's senior advisor, Kellyanne Conway, discussed the many meetings taking place. Let's take a look.
Not everyone who has been interviewing with him and giving him advice and sharing their experiences and their vision for America, not all of them will be in his cabinet or be in his federal government, but they all are incredibly important in offering their points of views, their experience, and certainly their vision for the country.
Now, it was also a busy weekend for President-elect Trump. He met with some high-profile people who may be considering for positions in his administration, including former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani. Also spotted was New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, who was an early Trump supporter, and retired Marine Corps General James Mad Dog Mattis, who is rumored to be a possible pick for Secretary of Defense, also met with Mr. Trump. But the meeting that got the most attention was with a former foe, the 2012 GOP candidate for the presidency, Mitt Romney. Here with reaction, former 2016 presidential candidate Dr. Ben Carson and editor-in-chief of LifeZette, Fox News contributor nationally syndicated radio host Laura Ingraham. Now, your name's out there a lot about a possible position. You're open to one.
Yeah. I mean, I like what
You're
I
in New
do.
York, just by
I'm
coincidence?
kind of like you, Sean. Sean, you and I love what we do. We just love on a daily basis. It's such a privilege to talk to the American people and hear what they have to say.
Well, they mentioned your name. I've never considered for dog
that's because you're too rich, so you can't give. You're just too rich. It's just the crumbs go for everybody else. No, I'm just kidding.
Thanks a lot.
It's fun. It's fun to be part of the mix. But look, I think they're doing other things that are frankly more important than press secretary. And so
I
don't really
am
have anything to
worried.
say.
I think you'd be great, but I think it would drive you nuts.
Tell me why.
Because those people are vicious.
Yeah.
And look, it would be entertaining because I don't think you'd take that crap. I would enjoy watching it.
Yeah. Well, I think that the American people are a little tired of the old game, the old press game. And I think they're on to the press people. I think they're on to the bias. Every poll shows that. And it's time.
Why do you have to go out and talk to them every day anyway? You don't.
Well, he met with all these members of the press today, which I found kind of interesting. I mean, they're the ones who messed up. He got it right. And they're the ones who messed up their analysis. They got the predictions and projections wrong. Yeah, I think he's showing that he's very magnanimous. He sits down with some folks from Fox.
More gracious than I'd be.
Yeah, I mean, George Stephanopoulos. I mean, most of these people just want to destroy him.
And they will. And that
I'm not
was
even
their
talking
mission.
about Stephanopoulos. I'm talking about all these other
CNN,
young producers and so forth.
NBC.
Yeah, so we know what they're about. So I'm not sure kind of what the point is of having the big kibbutz. And maybe there's some point to it. I don't know. Maybe it's just making people feel better or included. I don't know.
Dr. Carson, you had taken yourself out of consideration, but I heard you are reconsidering whether or not you might serve. Is that true?
Well, first of all, what I've always said is that my preference is to work outside of the government because I think there's so many important voices that need to be heard that are outside of the bubble. But I never said that I would not serve under any circumstances. What I've said is after they've gone through the process and if they conclude that, my services would be essential, I would certainly give that serious consideration, as would any good American, I think.
Laura, a couple of people bothered me. I'm a Rudy fan, and I see that they're already attacking Sessions. I mean, he has a great
Jeff Sessions,
great civil rights record.
He's an amazing person.
Amazing.
He prosecuted the Klan, made sure that a Klan member got a death penalty.
Right.
Rosa Parks.
Extended the Civil Rights Act for 30 years. All of that.
He was with John Lewis on the 50th anniversary of Bloody Sunday. The great photo. I tweeted out today. And I've known him for so long. And remember, the only vote that Arlen Specter said that he regretted before he died was the only vote was voting against Jeff Sessions. That was after he became a Democrat.
Why am I worried? Look, I think to this day Mitt Romney would have been a great president.
Terrific.
I really believe that. But he called Trump a fraud, a huckster, and every other name, and actively worked against him. If Donald Trump chooses him, I think it is a huge mistake.
I don't think someone who came out that vociferously and personally.
It was personal.
Those weren't substantive criticisms of Trump's trade or immigration or tax reform. That's one thing. I frankly don't even agree with that. If you're a Republican and everyone played for you and rallied to you and I rallied to Romney and helped him as much as we could. But that it was so nasty.
Personal.
And it was quoted. How many times was Mitt Romney played in a Hillary Clinton ad? And so I guess, have people in and I mean, I guess it's magnanimous and gracious, but I think loyalty and competence and an ability to, I think advocate on behalf of these issues, really important.
Right, we got one more segment. Dr. Carson, stay right there. More with Laura Ingraham, Dr. Carson, and also tonight.
Decisions have been made that by the president-elect that he wants to focus out of the gate on repealing Obamacare and beginning the process of replacing Obamacare.
Replacing Obamacare, a big promise President-elect Trump made on the campaign trail. How quickly can he get that done? We'll continue with Dr. Carson and Laura Ingraham, and then Ainsley Earhardt and Larry Elder will weigh in on the Hamilton outrage and all these Hollywood celebrities losing their mind, out of touch with Red America. By the way, Ainsley's book still #1 in the country now for the second week.
We're working with the majorities in the House and Senate to move forward an aggressive agenda decisions have been made that by the president-elect that he wants to focus out of the gate on repealing Obamacare and beginning the process of replacing Obamacare with the kind of free market solutions that he campaigned on. From there, we'll work on issues ranging from ending illegal immigration, reviving our economy through tax reform, rebuilding the military, restoring the infrastructure of this country.
That was Vice President-elect Mike Pence on Fox News Sunday. He said repealing and replacing Obamacare will be one of the first things the President-elect Trump will do after he is inaugurated. We continue with Dr. Ben Carson and Laura Ingraham. What are your thoughts on what happened with Governor Romney, Dr. Carson?
Well, I think he wants to make it clear, Donald Trump wants to make it clear, that he's willing to listen to a variety of different opinions. And one of the things that I've noticed about him is that he's a very good judge of character and a good judge of intent. And so he's assessing that in Mitt Romney, and I don't think he's going to do anything that would be unwise here.
You see how they're attacking General Flynn. You see what they did to Bannon. You see that they're trying to set the stage if Rudy gets an appointment. How much political collateral is Trump allowed to use here? In other words, how much?
I think he's allowed.
Yeah, go ahead. How far is he willing to go fight for these guys?
I think he will fight extremely hard. He's learned, the tricks of the media. Everybody's a racist, everybody's a homophobe, just silliness. And he's going to call them out on that. And I certainly will call people out on that. And let's talk about the actual issues. And if you want to accuse somebody of something, come up with something very specific, and let's talk about that, rather than these broad generalizations that they always do.
Laura?
I think you see the wisdom of what Reagan did. I think it's in week 6 after he was... I
meant political capital, but I don't want to talk about political collateral.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
It's a collateral damage done
collateral
on
damage.
politics.
Exactly.
But you see what Reagan did 6 weeks into his president-elect status is he, I think, named 6 or 8, I can't remember which, cabinet members. So all at once. So I think dropping a few names here and there
gives them time to slam them.
It allows the left and all of the left-wing interest groups and CNN and all to just go and burrow down into their negativity and their cynicism and the nastiness that turns people away from politics, which is why people don't want to serve in administrations. People are like, I've had enough of this. I have a good life.
But you're willing to consider it.
I am willing to consider it, and there was one reason.
Why?
For my country. That would be the only reason I would do it. It's certainly not, obviously it's not fine, it's not time.
You're not doing it for the money?
But I would do it for my country, and I would do it really well, and it'd be really fair. But only for the country, because everyone has to do their part.
I think the country's in a the reason I like the agenda.
Yeah.
I like, first of all, I like the Supreme Court originalists. I like a corporate tax rate of 15%. I like repatriation. I like building the wall. I like vetting refugees. I want to get rid of Obamacare, education back to the states. Yeah. All of these things matter, and energy independence is big. If he did all of those things,
oh my God, it'd be great.
The country would be so much better off. But I've got to roll. Good luck.
Good to see you.
By the way, I'm just going to go and excuse me. I'll be in there. I'll be in there.
Can you, guards? Can you remove him?
Get him out of here.
Thank you.
It'll be. By the way, that's going to be must-see TV. If Laura becomes a press secretary,
it'll be
we'll love it.
again.
It'll be fun. Welcome back to Hannity. So there is fresh fallout over the Broadway musical Hamilton and the public lecture one of its star actors delivered to Vice President-elect Mike Pence following a performance that he attended over the weekend. Now, President-elect Trump, he's demanding an apology, but Brandon Victor Dixon, the actor who delivered the pointed remarks to Pence, says he has nothing to apologize for. Joining us now with reaction, nationally syndicated Salem radio talk show host Larry Elder as well. This is you see that book? The #1 book in America. Now for well over a week, Take Heart, My Child, A Mother's Dream. Of course, she is the co-host of Fox. Why are you laughing?
Because it's still surreal. It's so surreal.
Can you believe it?
Thank you. I mean, Larry, aren't our viewers just the best? Sean, aren't they the best?
Well, honestly, it is a blessing.
Thank you.
I don't know what to make of this. Pence was really gracious. We just had him on. I loved his response. That's what freedom sounds like. Even when they boo you or they speak their mind. I thought that was a pretty cool response.
You're right. Yeah. We live in a great country where you're entitled to your views and your opinions. My problem was he did handle it with grace and dignity, just like he always does, the quintessential Christian and quintessential gentleman. But what does bother me about this, Sean, is that they do have the right to say this, but he went to support them. He's sitting in their house. When a guest comes to your house, you treat them with respect. You're nice to your visitors, and he paid money, a lot of money, for his whole family to go to that event. And that's,
by the way, those tickets aren't cheap.
I know,
They're
and how
like
embarrassing for him. Imagine
$800
sitting there and you feel it's kind of bullying a little bit. Imagine sitting in the audience and everyone is looking at you and booing you, and they're giving you a lecture when you're there to see them.
And I agree with you, but it's, you know, after hearing about, Larry, all the cry rooms and the aromatherapy and the pet therapy and the cat therapy and the dog therapy and college kids getting Play-Doh and coloring books, I can't handle it. Grow up. You're a bunch of whiny crybabies. I don't know what to make of all this.
Well, I thought it was condescending and I thought it was disrespectful. The man is coming to see a play and an actor gives him a lecture about diversity and about protecting America. Are you kidding me? Speaking of diversity, this is a play whose producers once put out a casting call for non-white actors. And how much diversity do you think there is in the audience when, as you pointed out, some of these tickets go for $2,000? And about protecting America, on January 20th, Trump and Pence are going to take an oath to defend, protect the Constitution, and they don't need some lecture from some stage actor about their job. And regarding defending and protecting the country, if I were an actor, and Obama, by the way, saw this play, and I decided that Obama was not protecting the country because of the Iran deal, because of pulling out prematurely out of Iraq, because of the failure to vet some of these Syrian refugees, and I stood up there and I said that, I would never work again. That's how intolerant this industry is for conservatives and for Republicans.
Let me bring up another issue. So the American Music Awards this weekend, I mean, it's all part of this, you know, Trump derangement syndrome by the alt-radical left in the country. They're losing their minds. But, all right, I think Trump is fair game. Mike Pence is fair game. I don't like when people go after the kids of politicians. I never have, and I'm not going to. Or why are you going after their wife? This is what, I guess, the model Gigi Hadid, whatever her name is, said and made fun of Melania Trump.
This is my Melania Trump impression. Okay, I gotta get the face right. I love my husband, President Barack Obama.
All right, now our own Ainsley Earhart, she knows Melania Trump and had an interview not that long ago. Watch this.
I'm very strong, I'm very confident, and I could handle everything. But what I will not allow, people saying lies about me, saying lies about my family, my husband.
What lie made you the most upset, and how would you like to set the record straight?
The lie was that I was working as an escort, what is not true, and it's just terrible what's going on out there.
Ainsley, isn't English her fifth language?
Fifth language. She's extremely smart. Yes. So I saw that as they were making fun of her accent. You know, you're talking about the cry rooms and the therapy dogs. I'm like, you know, if you're in college,
no, I love the Play-Doh and the coloring books.
The Play-Doh and the coloring books. Just, you know, go to a party. Have some fun.
You should give him your book. Take Heart My Child. My little college children.
And this is what I say to the supermodels and the actors and the singers. Like, sing. Walk the runway. Do what you're hired to do. Like, we don't care about your political opinions. Look at Hillary Clinton, had all these celebrities come to her events.
It didn't
work because mainstream, I mean, most of the flyover states, the southern states where I'm from, we can't relate to that. No one cares about Hollywood.
See, you grew up in South Carolina.
They hate Hollywood.
And by the way, Larry grew up in South Central, which may be close in proximity to Hollywood, but it's light years away from what the Hollywood. But all these people, New York, San Francisco, Los Angeles, D.C., they don't understand Wisconsin, Indiana, Ohio, Kansas, Utah, Kentucky. Alabama. They don't understand, and they don't want to understand.
That's why they lost.
And that's why they lost. I agree with you. Larry, what's your reaction? Last word.
Well, and why this ridicule of Melania Trump? Wasn't it Madeleine Albright, Sean, who said there's a special place in hell for women who don't support other women? And I'm more offended by what Green Day did. Green Day compared Donald Trump to the KKK and to fascism. And
well, when was their last hit?
Yeah, 25 years ago.
Yeah, I mean.
And with Barack Obama, who made us all buy health insurance, whether we wanted it, whether we could afford it, whether we needed it. That's the definition of a government telling you what to do. I thought music was all about young people being rebellious against the establishment. Where's the anti-Obama song?
Exactly.
Well, they're not relevant anymore. I mean, they haven't had a hit in a long time.
No KKK, no fascist USA, seriously.
Right.
All right. Congrats on the book. #1 in the country. Larry, good to see you as always. Thank you.
You too. Thank you.
And coming up, during the campaign, President-elect Trump, he said he wouldn't rule out the possibility of bringing back enhanced interrogation techniques. We'll check in with Dr. Sebastian Gorka, Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North. That's straight ahead.
They said, what do you think about waterboarding? I said, I like it a lot, and I don't think it's tough enough. We have people chopping off heads and drowning 30, 40, 50 people at a time in steel cages, right? Nobody's ever seen this before. This is like from the Middle Ages. You know, you have to fight fire with fire.
That was President-elect Donald Trump on the campaign trail, leaving open the possibility for the U.S. to once again start using enhanced interrogation techniques. Now, over the weekend, Senator John McCain voiced his concern over waterboarding, saying that the United States will never use the tactic again. But Vice President-elect Mike Pence wouldn't rule out the possible return of enhanced interrogation in a Trump administration. Watch this.
A President Donald Trump is going to focus on confronting and defeating radical Islamic terrorism as a threat to this country. And we're going to have a president again who will never say what we'll never do.
Joining us now with reaction from inside Iraq. He's been there for 14 days. My friend, host of War Stories,